Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Hope you had a good weekend. Easter weekend. Passover is still in full swing. So let's look at what we're dealing with today. It's the 7th of the month, 7th of April, 2015. Our sun sign is in Aries. Our moon sign is in Scorpio. So here's what we've got looking at today. Emperor, Aries. Hebrew letter He, he who sets in order. Okay. He who sets in order. It's all about action. Aries is the first sign, beginning sign. So that's what we're dealing with, right? Now our moon sign is a water sign, Scorpio. Scorpio is all about dealing with emotions. When we go through emotions, sometimes emotions can get really intense and it feels like we're going through a death of sorts because the emotions really take us into places of deep transformation. And that's the whole idea. So everything about this card is about transformation that occurs when we go from one phase to another. The whole idea is that the physical death is really just an illusion. We see the physical death because we don't have ways yet that we go beyond this physical reality. So when we see the process of death, we think that that's the end of everything. Those who study and are aware of how energy works understands that the energy continues and is still out there, and those who don't, and they don't, and we have that battle in between, right? People having different ideas on what happens, but the process of energy is life goes through a change. Death is just part of that process. It's another part of life, and we all go through it, and we all go through many deaths throughout the day as there are changes in our lives, some bigger, some smaller. So today at 3:42, well, we're dealing right now with the wounded healer Chiron in a trine with Scorpio. So that's going to kind of give us a tone of healing throughout the course of this day. Some healing by bringing up some really issues that maybe have been buried down deep that we need to deal with. 3:42 p.m. Pacific time, we have the opposition between Scorpio and Venus. So the opposition is one. Remember, you got a teeter-totter here. One side you got love, imagination. The other side you have emotions. They all work together. We just have to learn to play nice so that one of these don't jump off and we suddenly are filled with all kind of deep transformation but don't have any balancing point to it. And that's the whole idea. These two ideas balance themselves out, so we want to allow that to happen. Now at 3:42, once that occurs, we're also going into the void, of course, where we're in the last phases. We've crossed through the last phase of Scorpio, and now we're just in that holding pattern until the next moon sign, which happens just after midnight. So the course of the day, we're in this void, of course, phase. Some call it a period just to kind of chill out a little bit, take some time away from what's going on, because with the unconscious in that phase, we might not necessarily be thinking and moving as clearly and as smoothly and efficiently as we normally do. So taking time out just to consider what that is, especially since we're dealing with Scorpio and a deep transformation. And then tonight, 7:07 p.m., Mercury and Pluto are going to be in square with each other. Well, Pluto is the sign the planet that deals with Scorpio. And so we have this deep transformation that is occurring in communicational areas. So later tonight, maybe watch what we say as it gets to evening time, so we don't get to the end of the day and start to get in some sort of headbutting situation because of the things we're saying. So maybe we just want to pay attention this evening. Planet Watcher, here's our grid for today. So again, you could see the ones that are moving slowly versus the ones that are moving fast. Here's the moon already over here. Sun's still over here, moving slowly to the next sign. And all the others are just kind of moving along at their own little pace. Today on the Jewish calendar is 18 Nisan. You can see here it's Passover, Omar day 3. Tonight, count 4. Okay, and let's go look at the customs here. Now, the Omer, you see this word here, Omer. Okay, the Omer is a counting that takes place. And it's a counting that takes place, just a reminder, counting that takes place from Passover to Shavat. And the amount of time between there is 49 days, or 7 weeks. And this is the time, Passover is the time of celebration, the Exodus from Egypt. Shavat is the time of receiving the Torah on Mount Sinai from God. So the days in between there, those 7 weeks, is what the Omer is. So every day it's counting one of these particular days until we get to the time of the Torah, the giving of the Torah. Okay, so we scroll down here to look at some of our daily thoughts here. Just some stuff to be aware of. Says Chol Hamad, one of the 8 days of Passover. The first 2 and the last 2 are called Yom Tov, festival days. And the middle days, where we are now, are called Chol Hamoed, or weekdays of the festival, also called the intermediate days. Okay, the Yom Tov days are the rest days, which all creative work is forbidden, with the exception of certain types of work. On Chol Hamoed, the prohibition of work is less stringent. Work whose avoidance would result in significant loss is permitted. Okay, and the Omer count is we're going from 3 to 4. Let's look here at our daily study. Harsh or kind? When he made the world, he made 2 ways to repair each thing, with harshness or with compassion, with a slap or with a caress, with darkness or with light. When God looked at the light and saw that it was good, darkness and harsh words may be necessary, but he never called them good. Even if you could correct another person with harsh words, the one above receives no pleasure from it. When he sees this creature heal one another with caring and with kindness, that is when he shines his smile upon us. Current moon phase, 91% of the full. Of the 91% of the way there, we're going down because it says waning. So waning means going down from a full moon to a new moon. Space weather, solar wind, 374.2 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is quiet, between a 1 and a 2 at the moment. Coronal holes have really subsided. This one at the bottom has gotten much smaller. Very slight here. M-class flare possibilities at 10, X-class at 1, geomagnetic storm activity is at 15, 20 in the high latitudes, maybe as high as 25. And in the sky tonight, the 7th, here's what we're looking at. The moon, as dawn brightens on Wednesday, the 8th, look south for Saturn. So we look up at the moon here, we see Saturn off to the left. This is 1 hour before sunrise. Okay, and there you have it. That is our cosmic weather for today. That brings us up to UFO news. Let's get to it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. Let's start off with our first sighting. This takes us back to the middle of last month, the 17th, St. Patrick's Day, Lake Tahoe. Okay, looking at this object in the sky. Don't see any green associated with it, so apparently the beings on this ship were unaware of the tradition down here. Photo taken 3/17/15 at the beach area in South Lake Tahoe during the afternoon. Photo taken with a Samsung 3G phone on the scenery surrounding the lake. Object was only noted later when reviewing the photos on the phone. Object looks to be either entering or exiting clouds, as cloud cover looks to be covering the tip, and the object is enlarged. The object appears to have an aura surrounding it. The object is dark in color. The shape of the object seems to be disc-shaped, but somewhat irregular, maybe due to refraction or clouds. Okay. Moving from there up to Mars, we have a big object right here. Massive UFO on Mars near two gold faces. A big size object there. So do you see the gold city face above and below? Aliens think on a higher level than us, and they can see it. Low-level thinkers will not see it. Okay, golden faces, large object. Here we see an alien figure right here, lying down, massive structure built in alien form. You see it a little better here with the filter. Okay. This is a fantastic discovery by YouTube user. It shows a massive UFO parked on the surface of Mars below Jojuta crater. I checked the map and found the coordinates of the object. I confirm the object is there. Just copy and paste the coordinates into Google Mars. Also found some structures not far below the round alien ship. Also found two gold faces. Another alien structure inside of the crater nearby. There's a massive deposit of gold on the surface of Mars in this area. It looks like 20 to 24 karat gold sand. There's no wonder why NASA wants to go to Mars. There's a whole lot of gold there and other minerals of extreme value, but the frosting on the cake is the alien tech they will find in the ancient structures. Okay, this video is 2 minutes 36 seconds. Kind of closes you into the object in question. There it is. Alright, moving on. El Paso, Texas, April 1st. Interesting video of unknown lights hovering in the night sky above El Paso. Filmed on the 1st of April, 2015. On April 1st, 11:07 p.m., my wife, daughter, son, and I observed these lights. We watched it for 20 minutes. This is only 4 minutes of what we saw. We watched them ascend and descend, move around. The storage on my phone became full and I couldn't record anymore. But we actually saw them travel from El Paso to Las Cruces in the blink of an eye. That's like 80 miles away in a blink. Then they ascended together and moved towards Albuquerque at a high rate of speed. They were gone. I've been a licensed pilot for 12 years. Never seen an aircraft like this or witnessed aircraft travel such great distances so quickly. Okay, video sells 4 minutes 14 seconds. And the link's available, firstcontactradio.com. Here we have over Taiwan. This is an image caught by the wedding photographer. It's pretty cool. Kind of looks like a musical note. Alright, this UFO was taken by a Taiwanese wedding photographer when he was taking some photos of the night sky. He accidentally caught a blue UFO that moved around and spun as it moved. The photo was exposed for 20 seconds to make the details stand out. During that time, the object was caught, although we didn't see anything the digital eye did. This is a moving what? Flying rod? Animal flight? Just a little commentary there. Very cool. It's an awesome picture. UFO wheel over Hessdalen, Norway, caught on live cam April 2nd. Very interesting looking. YouTube caught a wheel-like craft over Hessdalen, Norway 2 days ago. Hessdalen became famous in the 70s as a UFO hotspot where for months at a time UFOs would appear glowing day or night in the sky. Google it. There are some amazing photos. Late March 2015, another person caught 2 dark UFOs on the live cam in Hessdalen. All right. And Street Cap 1 is the poster here. Another great capture. All right, and here we have dating back to March last month. And this is just, there's our objects right here. Okay, let's move on. UFO sighting over Alma, Nebraska, April 2nd. This is video footage recorded during a storm over Alma, Nebraska. 2nd of April, 1 minute, 5-second video. Zooming you in. Here's the storm. And up in this storm right up here. Alright, you can see right there we go. Very cool. Okay, a ring-shaped UFO over Kazakhstan. That's a black circle-shaped UFO caught on tape over Short Andy in North Kazakhstan. Happened Friday the 3rd. It's even made it to RT. Alright, when things start to get to the mainstream, it's kind of interesting. Definitely an interesting one there. Alright, moving on. UFO sighting over Menisa, Turkey, April 4th. Witness said, I was going to Menemen, Izmir, Turkey from Menisa, Turkey. I was look to the sky and see that light and take the photo quickly. I think 2 objects in the light beam and they are moved. Okay. That's what we have here. And one last story here, and this is about the Dogon tribe. The vast universe continues to amaze our current knowledge. Skeptics and proponents of the ancient alien theories have been facing the challenges for decades regarding the alleged detailed astronomical knowledge of the Dogon tribe. There are a number of arguments concerning the tribe from Mali, Africa, and its reported knowledge of the motions of the stars even without the use of modern telescopes. Sirius, being the brightest star in the sky, had been part of many ancient cultures. Located approximately 8.7 light years from Earth, Sirius has white dwarf star companion called Sirius B, which is invisible to the naked eye. Astronomers first thought of its existence in the 1830s. These scientists developed a mathematical theoretical model of its orbit around Sirius, now known as Sirius A, later in the 19th century. Astronomers thought that Sirius B must be a super dense matter, but skeptics were beyond their knowledge until the arrival of quantum physics in 1926. In 1894, irregular movement of Sirius B made astronomers think that a third star, Sirius C, may exist. They suspected that a third star could exert an influence on the orbit of Sirius B. It is still not clear whether Sirius C exists or not. The Dogons are believed to have known Sirius before astronomers started contemplating its existence. For the Dogon, Sirius is a 3-star system. They even describe Sirius B accurately, saying it is a companion star for Sirius that is not visible from the Earth. The tribe further explained that Sirius B has a 50-year orbital period and it travels around Sirius A along an elliptical path. They allegedly have known that it is made of a dense substance not found on Earth. The Dogon are also thought to have understand that the planets, including Earth, rotate on their axis and orbit around the Sun. The tribe also said to know that Jupiter has 4 moons and Saturn has a ring around it. Astronomy professor at Sacramento College, Liam McDade, and famed astronomer Carl Sagan concluded that Dogon's advanced knowledge of Sirius, particularly Sirius B, must have come from modern Western culture. The theory believes that the Dogon got the advanced knowledge of Sirius B from anthropological accounts of Dr. Germain Dietrinin and Dr. Marcel Graul, who visited the tribe in the 1930s. However, the book, The Sirius Mystery by Robert Temple, suggests an ancient alien theory as an explanation of the detailed knowledge of the Dogon. During an interview for a BBC special, the author presented a 400-year-old Dogon artifact representing the 3 stars of the Sirius system. In another interview during the Talk Psychic show, Temple said that the Dogon would tell anyone that their ancestors were given the information from someone coming back from the Sirius. Alright, so there you have it. That is our UFO news for today. Ended on a serious note, but these are the jokes, folks. These are the jokes. Alright, gonna move on. I'll be right back.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Continuing on. If I can get the volume turned, there we go. Alright, so today the subject I brought up is Ezekiel's wheel. The reason I brought this up was after seeing the sighting earlier, the one that looked like the wheels and the wheels, it kind of got me thinking that this was the subject for today. You know, sometimes I don't always know what the subjects are I'm going to deal with. Sometimes in advance I know, and sometimes the day of the show is when the subject comes to play. I just kind of leave it up to, I do a little prayer meditation before the shows and just kind of leave it up to whatever it is that comes through that I feel I need to talk about. And today, Ezekiel's wheel. So, Ezekiel, UFOs in the Bible, Ezekiel's wheel, 593 BC, Chabert River, Chaldea. Of all the UFO accounts in the Bible, the one mentioned most often is Ezekiel's wheel. One of the passages reads, "This was an appearance and structure of the wheels. They sparkled like chrysolite, and all 4 looked alike. Each appeared to be made like a wheel intersecting a wheel." It's from Ezekiel 1:16. The following is a passage-by-passage analysis of Ezekiel chapter 1 that is based on the work of NASA engineer Joseph Blumrich. Okay, take a good look at this picture right there. It's an old picture. I'm sure you've seen this before. Okay. So we got Ezekiel, wheels within the wheels, the 4 creatures. Alright, here we go. Ezekiel's Wheel by Jim Aho. Of all the UFO accounts in the Bible, the one that I hear mentioned most often is Ezekiel's wheel. Many people claim that Ezekiel clearly describes a UFO in the following passage. From Ezekiel 1:16. "This was the appearance and structure of the wheels. They sparkled like chrysolite, and all 4 looked alike. Each appeared to be made like a wheel intersecting a wheel." So I thought about this. What is the craft shown above? It still seems rather mystical looking, and even if it is a spacecraft, it really doesn't make the story told in the book of Ezekiel any clearer. The rest of the narrative still seems pretty confusing to me. While I was wondering about all of this, a friend passed on his book written by NASA engineer Joseph F. Blumrich entitled The Spaceships of Ezekiel. The book concludes with the passage shown above wasn't the whole story. Blumrich agrees that the wheel within a wheel was extraterrestrial, but he goes on one step further and claims that it only describes a small part of the craft. According to Blumrich, the whole chapter was detailed description of an encounter with a UFO. Even the story behind the book is very interesting. Blumrich notes that he began researching the topic in response to Eric von Daniken's book Chariots of the Gods. In the foreword to his book, Blumrich states that he began to read von Daniken with the condescending attitude of someone who knows beforehand that the conclusions presented can by no means be correct. In other words, he thought von Daniken was full of it and was going to set out to prove it scientifically. What he found out after an extensive amount of research from an engineering point of view was just the opposite. He went from an extreme skeptic to becoming convinced that the book of Ezekiel was the real, accurate, and detailed account of an encounter with the extraterrestrial visitors. Very interesting coming from a person who is not religious zealot by any means, and is about as far as you can get from the gullible person who might be prone to jump to conclusions. Since Blumrich has already done an outstanding job in analyzing the whole book of Ezekiel, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel by doing that here, but you can see that I'm referring to, I will post passage-by-passage analysis of Ezekiel chapter 1 that is based on the work of Blumrich. The text shown below isn't directly from his book, which contains much more detail than I can present here, but is instead a capsulization of Blumrich's conclusions as presented in another very interesting book entitled Extraterrestrials and Biblical Prophecy by G. Cope Schellhorn. Okay, so here we go. Let's go through this analysis. Ezekiel 1:4, I saw a windstorm coming out of the north, an immense cloud with flashing lights, surrounded by brilliant light. The center of the fire looked like glowing metal. The Blumrich summary: spacecraft begins at some distance from the prophet. In the initial descent, vapor cloud is from cooling preliminary to firing of rocket engine. Rocket engine is then fired. Ezekiel 1:5, and then the fire was what looked like 4 living creatures in appearance. Their form was that of a man. Looking upward, the prophet sees the 4 shapes surrounded by fire and vapor that look alive. These are the helicopter-like bodies deployed before landing. Ezekiel 1:6, but each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. Blumrich. The prophet is now able to see more detail beyond the craft as at low altitude. He sees the 4 blades of the rotors and the fairing housing above the rotors that give the appearance of faces. Ezekiel 1:7, the legs were straight, the feet were like those of a calf and gleamed like burnished bronze. Blumrich, this is a description of the landing legs. The legs have shock absorbers and round foot pads. Ezekiel 1:8, under the wings on their 4 sides they had hands of a man, all 4 and faces of wings. Blumrich, this refers to the remote-controlled mechanical arms hanging along the side of the cylindrical helicopter body. Ezekiel 1:9, and their wings touched one another, each one straight ahead. They did not turn as they moved. Blumrich, a reference to the helicopter blades protruding outward, is made. Ezekiel 1:10, their faces looked like this. Each of the 4 had the face of a man on the right side. Each had the face of a lion on the left, the face of an ox, and the face of an eagle. Blumrich, the fairing surfaces which protect the gears and control devices above the rotors look to the prophet like faces. The fairings are irregular in shape, and some raised and some cut out areas, all of which lends itself to the awestruck interpretation on the prophet's part. By way of example, Blumrich shows photos of Gemini and Apollo capsules that at certain angles look like monsters because these faces face in like directions. We see that the rotors are synchronized at the rest position. Ezekiel 1:11, such were their faces, their wings were spread out upward. Each had 2 wings, one touching the other wing of another creature on either side, the 2 wings covering its body. Blumrich, the first part refers to rotor blades being divided. The suggestion is that is a kind of gap in the control mechanism or fairing. The last part of the verse refers to the rotor blades folded in an up and down position. Ezekiel 1:12, each one went straight ahead. Wherever the spirit would go, they would go without turning as they went. This refers to the landing leg assembly and the retractable wheels as part of each leg assembly. Ezekiel does not see the wheels until they are actually deployed in verse 15. Verses 9 through 12 and 15 are interrelated. The appearance of the living 1:13. The appearance of living creatures was like burning coals or fire, or like torches. Fire moved back and forth among the creatures. It was bright and flashed lightning out of it. Blumrich, Ezekiel is referring to the flowing reactor radiator and the burst from the control rockets. The lightning effect comes from what would seem like leaping random fire, but in fact is controlled bursts from the various controlled rockets for stabilization purposes. Ezekiel 1:14, the creatures sped back and forth like flashes of lightning. Blumrich, the spacecraft hovers and moves in various directions until a suitable landing site is found. Ezekiel 1:15, as I looked at the creatures, I saw a wheel on the ground beside each creature with its 4 faces. Blumrich, the wheels are deployed. They appear at the very moment they become necessary. Ezekiel 1:16, there was an appearance and structure of the wheels. They sparkled like chrysolite, and all 4 looked alike. Each appeared to be made like a wheel intersecting a wheel. As they moved, they would go in one of the 4 directions the creatures faced. The wheels did not turn about as the creatures went. Their rims were high and awesome, and all 4 rims were full of eyes all around. When the living creatures moved, the wheels beside them moved, and when the living creatures rose from the ground, the wheels rose also. Wherever the spirit go, they would go, and the wheels would rise along them, because the spirit of living creatures was in the wheels. When the creatures moved, they also moved. When the creatures stood still, they also stood, and when the creatures rose from the ground, the wheels rose along with them, because the spirit of living creatures was in the wheels. Blumrich, the greenish-blue color of the wheels suggests a protective film or coating. A further description of advanced reversible wheels is given. Ezekiel is confused, looks to him like the wheel within a wheel. These wheels look like they are obeying orders. He has had experience with wheels, but these are puzzling. Thus he gives much time to their description. The craft rolls on the ground, probably in a maneuver to find the most suitable site. Ezekiel 1:22. Spread out above the heads of the living creatures was what looked like an expanse, sparkling like ice and awesome. Blumrich, here is a description of the main body of the craft. We get its basic shape, spreading out like a firmament. The surface of the main body is metallic, shining bright. Ezekiel 1:23, under the expanse their wings were stretched out towards the other. Each had 2 wings covering its body. Blumrich says we are given additional information concerning the position of the helicopter-like appendages relative to the main body. Rotor blades are at rest. Ezekiel 1:24-25. When the creatures moved, I heard the sound of wings like the roar of rushing waters, like the voice of the Almighty, like the tumult of an army. When they stood still, then lowered their wings, then came a voice from the expanse of the heads that stood with lowered wings. Blumrich feels these verses are out of order. They describe operating rotor blades and the resultant sound effects. Ezekiel 1:26. Above the expanse over their heads was what looked like a throne of sapphire, and high above on the throne was a figure like that of a man. Blumrich, the prophet sees the command module shaped and colored like cabochon-cut sapphire. Seated in the pilot's seat is a man. Ezekiel 1:27. I saw that from what appeared to be waist up he looked like glowing metal as if full of fire, and that from there down he looked like fire, and the brilliant light surrounded him. Blumrich, a prophet, describes the light effects of the commander's flight suit, which in Blumrich's opinion are reminiscent of the light effects caused by the reflecting surfaces of certain insulation materials used in the Apollo lunar module. It might be enlightening here to mention the light effects, especially the golden glow effect described by some present-day witnesses to UFO close encounters, people who had been in near proximity to UFO crew members. A classic example of such an effect would be the Fatima incident earlier in the century. An interesting explanation of this effect is offered by extraterrestrial Charles Shiva's Date with the Gods. Ezekiel 1:28. Like the appearance of the rainbow in the clouds on a rainy day, so is the radiance around him. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of God. When I saw it, I fell face down and heard the voice of one speaking. Blumrich summary. Here are the optical light effects of the translucent cabochon-shaped command module sitting atop the main body of the spacecraft. Sunlight hitting the translucent surface and reflecting off other surfaces inside the module causes a rainbow light effect. Blumrich emphasizes that the brightness was round about him. It did not emanate from him. We should carefully note refers to Ezekiel's initial mistake of identity, confusing the spacecraft with God himself. Blumrich goes on to provide similar observations for the entire book of Ezekiel. He even concludes that Ezekiel went aboard the craft and interacted with the commander of the vehicle a number of times. If you'd like to explore the topic further, I definitely recommend finding Blumrich's book so you can read all his conclusions firsthand. So was Ezekiel's account really his way of telling a detailed story about encounters with extraterrestrials? Were these beings sent by God to deliver a message to Ezekiel? Interesting but controversial questions. I'll let you decide for yourself, but I'm sure I haven't heard any other explanations of Ezekiel's explanations that sound as realistic to me. And one other article here on the subject. This one is called The Spaceships of Prophet Ezekiel by Joseph Blumrich. So this is that full piece here, really getting into describing. Here's all the descriptions that I was just reading. Okay, so now that you've heard a summary, now you can kind of go back and look at this and see the image of the idea of his wheels within the wheels. The interesting opening line here says, a native of Strev, Austria, engineer Blumrich is the holder of patents on numerous inventions. Until recently, he was author, chief of the systems layout branch at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center. In earlier years, he developed the structural design of the Saturn V booster and participated in the design of Skylab. He has left NASA in order to spend his full time on research concerning extraterrestrial visitors in ancient times. He wrote the book Da Ta Sich der Himmel auf, otherwise known as the Spaceships of Ezekiel. References in some holy scriptures to strange machines have prompted throughout history speculation and conjecture in order to lend acceptable, if not rational, explanations of the phenomena reported. Modern technical knowledge and test procedures have been used to reconstruct a model of what was seen and experienced by one of the four great Jewish prophets 2.5 millennia ago. Okay, so there you have it. There's the article. I'm leaving it there. So you've all heard Ezekiel's story. Now you've heard a bit of a description from somebody who works with rockets, a NASA scientist. So make of it what you will. That is the story. That's what's out there, and those in the UFO community understand that it is something very interesting. All right, jumping to the next article. This is about symptoms. Are you experiencing any strange symptoms? Well, I'm going to read through a list here of 25 different symptoms. Maybe you are experiencing them. They're part of this change that we're going through. This is an article by Isabel Green over at In5D. 25 strange symptoms people are experiencing worldwide. Many people from all walks of life have been reaching out to me with questions and complaints about strange symptoms they've been experiencing on and off, sometimes feeling like they are losing their minds. The symptoms usually go on for a couple of weeks at a time and then subside, reoccurring again in correlation with cosmic and solar activity and people's individual readiness to move on to the next level. March of 2015 has been exceptional in that regard, with the weeks of March 4th and March 16th being especially potent. Massive energetic adjustments taking place globally. Planet Earth is going through a shift. Intensified solar activity is influencing magnetic fields of the Earth and every one of us individually. We've had new moon and total solar eclipse on the day of the spring equinox, a cosmic event which in itself is strong enough to trigger reactions in people sensitive to energy. Below is a list of symptoms that I myself and the majority of my friends and clients have been and are presently experiencing, many reporting exactly the same phenomena. Okay, I'm just going to go through the list since there's 25 items here. Number 1, sugar chocolate cravings. 2, unfamiliar eating patterns. 3, weird sleep patterns, a strong need for extra sleep and naps. 4, pressure, pain, swelling, and drilling sensations around the solar plexus area. 5, pressure, swirling, and drilling sensations around the head, especially around the third eye and the top of the brain. Headaches occurring after the drilling sensations. Hearing strange sounds. People are reporting hearing some kind of buzzing or metallic sounds, or yet somehow really pleasant otherworldly sounds. Heightened sensitivity and awareness of everything around. Intensified senses, especially the sense of smell. Technology malfunctions when you come near or touch it. awareness of the waves that technology produces. Being out of focus as if being inside a movie, especially during motion. Body out of coordination or loss of balance. Quickly passing constant waves of intense conflicting and overlapping emotions. Enhanced ADD-like symptoms. Interruption of the flow. Strange unfamiliar sensations in the body. Extra fast healing of the body. Sudden waves of chills and goosebumps. Heightened synchronicities. Instant manifesting of thoughts into reality. Intensified visuals and meditations. Time lapses and dilation, loss of sense of time. Unmistakable awareness and symptoms of shifting timelessness. And reevaluation of your individual truth. It says we are at a time when everything is out of alignment with our true selves, and it can no longer be ignored. Many people are releasing their karmic and emotional agreements, reevaluating their beliefs and their choices in relationships, jobs, lives. It ends this article saying, stay calm and curious, remain positive and also excited. Meditate to embrace the new energy in your body. In your everyday life, look for proof of your new paranormal abilities. Drink lots of water, get plenty of sleep, eat light, high vibrational foods. Do not overeat. Ground, exercise, do yoga, swim, sit with the fire, sunbathe and sun gaze. Rest and be kind to yourself. This phase is part of our planets, and thus our own evolution, and lots of positive changes are on the way. It will pass, leaving you with new abilities, expanded awareness, and lots of other amazing multidimensional gifts. So rejoice. I hope this helps calm your nerves and shed some light. If you feel you need personalized help or require more information, go ahead, book a private session. The link is all here. So you can go ahead and do that if you feel the need. So yes, lots of changes going on. I feel different changes, many things on this list I certainly have been feeling. I talk to others who are going through similar things. Sometimes it's minor, like aches and pains. Sometimes it's more intense. I do find it interesting that there are people in my life that are waking up, people that I wouldn't have thought would be waking up like this. And it's surprising, and it's surprising in a good way. I'm sure you're seeing the same thing as you go out in the world to find that people are responding differently to what's going on in the world. With all of these changes taking place, what's important is that we take time out every day just to be aware of these changes. Because sometimes these changes could go on, and if we don't think about them or think about what they're doing to us, we might not even notice the change that takes place. So if we take time out just to kind of consider the energy that's affecting us, considering how it's changing us, if indeed it is, and consider what some of those changes might be, we might notice things about ourselves that are different than what they used to be. I mean, things are always changing in our worlds, but we're told, and over we see examples of how there is change taking place during this phase that we're in. We see movies, certainly. Remember the Fantastic Four? They all got hit by that cosmic wave, and look what happened to them. So who knows what's going to happen with all of these changes that we hear about, the DNA upgrades and everything else that's going on to affect our world as we continue to evolve. All right, today's message is from Hilarion. Let's get to it.
Hilarion.
April 5th through April 12th, 2015. Channeled through Marlene Swetleshoff.
Hilarion.
Beloved ones. These are times of great import, which are also a great opportunity to impress upon the ethers surrounding the earth with the intention of the kind of world that you desire to live on, for yourselves, your loved ones, and humanity in general. Those of you who are practicing, and practical, wielders of the energy of love, light, healing and peace can magnify these positive energies through your powerful intent. Take a moment to intend that all of the loving, uplifting and happy energies of the current times be magnified 1,000-fold, and that they be maintained and sustained permanently upon the planet. Let every moment of joy and happiness you experience be dedicated to the upliftment of all upon your planet. May all that lives, breathes and has life on this sweet earth be blessed beyond measure with every good thing. As you allow your divine essence to fill those spaces within you which are being cleared, you are becoming an ever greater light in the world. Your calm and peaceful presence has an impact on everyone and everything within your own sphere of influence. Your smile can make a world of difference in someone's life today. As your increased light radiates outward into the world, it connects with others upon the crystalline grid, and this activity begins a chain reaction in an ever-widening circle of connection. Each pure and loving heart adds to this energy of the greater whole, the collective energy of the consciousness of humanity. This is how positive change is taking place upon your planet. As humanity begins to experience a more exalted and uplifted state of being, they make the choice to never go back to the world of suffering and pain again. Instead, they feed the new energy with their own loving intentions and choose to live in a state of balance and harmony, for they understand how important it is for the good of all. Each person has this ability to create what they truly desire in their lives. Each person is the creator of their own reality. Each person must take personal responsibility for that which they put out into the world. One's output of focus and energy will reflect back to them that which they put out into the world, and this knowing will become ever clearer in each person's daily life. We stress the importance of this understanding to permeate your conscious awareness. It is an awareness filled with initial challenges as you strive to transform your thoughts, words, and deeds, but as you work patiently upon yourself, you will find it becoming much easier as you move forward into the new experiences of sustained happiness and joy in your everyday lives. As you emit these higher frequencies, those around you are also catalyzed to reconnect to their own divine essence. As each person chooses to stay in the integrity of their true selves, their joyful and illumined selves, many of the world's current problems will be resolved in a peaceful manner. The interactions between the world's inhabitants will embody and reflect the respect of knowing that all living beings upon the planet originate from the same source. It becomes more difficult to deny that this is so as this awareness unfolds. Peace and sister or brotherhood becomes more embedded in the consciousness of all. The desire to be a person of goodwill and high integrity will take root within every human heart. As each person sees the living proof of this awareness being enacted between the members of the inhabitants of the planet, it comes into a natural acceptance as the new way of being. The way forward to a peaceful world is unfolding at an accelerated pace. As more individuals connect to the inner knowing which comes from thinking with their hearts rather than their minds, they release the state of fear and illusion that their human ego has kept them in, and they see that the world can be a safe and happy place for all. Quality of life and living becomes the new focus and intent of the majority of humanity, and this awareness raises the bar for everyone. Until next week. I am Hylarion.
Alright, very nice message from Hylarion. And let's look at our Warrior of Light. We're on page 58 today. The Warrior of Light does not always have faith. There are moments when he believes in absolutely nothing, and he asks his heart, is this effort really worth it? But his heart remains silent, and the warrior has to decide for himself. When he looks for an example, and he remembers that Jesus went through something similar in order to fully inhabit the human condition. Remove this cup from me, said Jesus. He too lost heart and courage, but he did not stop. The Warrior of Light continues, despite his lack of faith. He goes forward, and in the end, faith returns. Let's go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. And again, another deep breath. And exhale. I want you to imagine walking down the path. And at first, the path is well lit. And as you're walking down this path and the light is shining and you can see everything around you, you feel hopeful and confident, and you continue to walk. And as you walk along the path, as the day moves along, it begins to get dark. And pretty soon it gets dark, and you cannot see where you're going. And you begin to feel that there are other energies that try to creep in, feelings of doubt and fear. But you're reminded of the faith that we all have. And you look up to the sky and you see the light from the stars and the moon, and you are reminded that light continues to exist even in the darkness. And you walk with a renewed sense of faith. And you realize that with each and every step you move along the path. And with each and every step you become clearer about the path, where it is, and how you move upon it. And you realize that faith is simply something within ourselves that needs to be strengthened like a muscle. And that we can practice having faith just by choosing to be faithful as opposed to entertain fears or doubts. We know that is just a process of the consciousness. And so we choose to let faith exist in our lives. So we walk the path of faith, and we let our subconscious mind continue walking that path. And let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment renewed in faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's our show for today. Thank you so much for being here. Just remember to keep walking in faith. That's the process each and every day. There's a lot of information that comes our way. Some we have to really dig into research to find out the reality of it. Some we can look at it and we understand right off the first reading of what's going on. And that's how it is with life. We need to explore and learn what all these processes are. But when we do, and if we remain faithful, knowing that all of the things that we do lead us ultimately to our destination, we have a renewed sense of faith, knowing that life has a purpose for us. And so as we are searching for what our purpose is, simply be filled with faith, knowing that life already has that. We just need to tune in. And once we do, and we commingle with ourselves, with our higher self, we understand the process of co-creation, and we understand the process of faith that makes all of this happen. That's it for today, my friends. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Have a great day. Walk in faith. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Keep loving each other. Peace. I'm out of here.